Well, happy 4th of July, everyone. Before we get started, I want to talk about freedom, with it being the 4th of July. I think that's a good biblical theme to begin to examine this week. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you. I'm blown away by the amount of comments, text messages, Facebook messages that I've been getting from people who have been watching these. And so thank you so much for taking a couple minutes out of your day to examine the scriptures with me. It means a ton to me. It's such an encouragement to me. I would ask you to do one thing, though. If you do end up watching one of these and you like what you hear and maybe it meant something to you and the Lord's doing something in your heart through that, would you mind liking and or sharing this? That way we can help get the word out to more people via your like and your share. That would mean so much to me as well. So once again, thank you for watching these. Now, with it being the 4th of July, with us celebrating our country's 240th birthday, happy birthday, America, right? Like, happy birthday, America. I want to talk about freedom. This is something that I examined in church yesterday, the idea of freedom in Christ. Now, if you're watching this and you're not a Christian, you can easily think that freedom is found outside of Christianity, not inside of Christianity. We're going to deal with that and all of those ideas later this week. I just want to kind of take this morning to take the opportunity to talk about freedom that I've found personally in Christ. Because here's the deal. Jesus shows up, Luke chapter 4. He preaches his first sermon at a synagogue in his hometown. He gets up, he opens up the scroll to Isaiah chapter 60, and he quotes Isaiah and says, I'm here to do this. And then he says, I'm here to, he says, he has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives. In other words, Jesus is saying, quoting Isaiah, written 700 years earlier, saying, I'm here to set the captives free. If you go over to John chapter 8, verse 36, Jesus says, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Galatians chapter 5:1 tells us that it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. So there's this theme that comes out from the life of Christ that says, he's here to set you free. He's here to release you from bondage. He's here to help you enter into what is true freedom. All right, let me talk about me for a second. I could spend hours talking about some of my struggles. Like, I could spend hours talking about some of my brokenness. But there's one area of brokenness in particular I've seen kind of, poke its ugly head out throughout my entire life. I am an extrovert by nature. I love people. I love being around people. I thrive in settings where there's lots of people. But my wicked heart can so easily begin to look to other people for ultimate approval. So if I spend long enough with certain people, I'll begin to look to them and be like, I need your approval. I need you to approve of me. I need you to like me. I need you to give me the thumbs up. And if you do that, then I will feel worthy. But the problem is, the more and more you do that and the more and more you feel that way, the less and less that person is able to fulfill whatever it is you need to be fulfilled in order to feel worthy. And so there's been plenty of times in my life that I have allowed the opinions of other people to dictate how I feel about myself, really who I am and what I'm doing. And it's left me in states of brokenness before. I found myself just being broken because I'm looking for people to approve of me. And honestly, I think the best way to describe of that, and some of you know what I'm talking about, like you're people pleasers, you're seeking approval all the time, like the opinions of others rise and fall your day, right? That's captivity. You're being held captive by what others think about you and what others think about your actions and what others think about what you say and what you do. You're in captivity. I've been in captivity before to that. But see, here's the beautiful thing. The scriptures just told us, Jesus himself just told us in both Luke 4 and John 8, Paul told us in Galatians 5, that Jesus has come to set you free. Okay, what does that freedom look like? Yesterday in church, the whole sermon will be online later today or tomorrow. Yesterday in church, I showed a clip from a movie, Man on Fire. I don't know if you've seen it. I've honestly never seen the movie, but I've watched the ending because there's like a 9-minute clip of the ending on YouTube. And the clip sets up like this. Denzel Washington plays an ex-CIA officer who has been charged with bodyguarding a diplomat's daughter in Mexico City. She's a 9-year-old girl played by Dakota Fanning. Well, she gets kidnapped. And Denzel Washington, goes on a rampage trying to figure out where she was. And the way the plot sets up, it's at the very end, the captives of this little girl are willing to set her free in exchange for Denzel Washington. So they want Denzel to give himself to them, and they're willing to set the girl free. And there's this minute and a half long part of that scene where they meet on this bridge. So the captives are on one side of the bridge, and Denzel's on the other side of the bridge. And Denzel walks to the middle, and then the captives set the girl free. And Dakota Fanning and Denzel Washington, they have this moment on the bridge where they're looking at each other. Denzel's smiling at the girl, and the girl looks at him and she says, "I love you, and you love me, don't you?" And he looks at her and he smiles and he says, "Yes, I do." And every time I see that scene, my eyes well up with tears, because in that moment, this actor is looking at this other actor and playing this part where love is understood because of what is happening in that scene. That she knows that he loves her because he's willing to give himself up into captivity so that she can go free. And listen, that is the gospel. That is what Jesus did. Whether you believe the Bible or not, that's what the Bible claims that Jesus is doing, because you got to ask the question, he came to set the captives free. How does he do that? What does he do? What is his plan? How does he set the captives free? Jesus was betrayed by one of his best friends, and when he betrayed Jesus, he brought Roman guards with him. And those Roman guards did what to Jesus when they took him out of the garden? They put him in shackles. They put him in chains. They chained him up like a common criminal. And they led him eventually to the cross, where they killed him like a common criminal. And the thing you've got to understand is that Jesus went into captivity so that you could go free. That's what he did to set you free. Here's how this transforms me in my heart and my need for approval. If I'm ever worried if someone approves of me or likes me or thinks well of me, and maybe they don't, maybe I said something that offended them. I mean, when I talk about Christianity, that's naturally offensive to some people. And so if people don't like me for some whatever reason, I can always look to Jesus, and I can always see him going into captivity to set me free. And that frees my heart from the captivity of needing the love and approval of others, because the God of the universe who put skin on in Jesus Christ came to earth and went into captivity for me. And so I say all that just in hopes that on this Independence Day, as we go to barbecues and go swimming and go watch fireworks and shoot off fireworks of our own and celebrate the freedoms that we are so blessed with as a country. Happy birthday, America, right? Like, we're so blessed to have these freedoms that as Christians, if you're watching this and you're a Christian, you would remember the freedoms that Christ has given you, because he was willing to go into captivity for you. And we know he's powerful enough to free us from captivity, because 3 days later, even death couldn't hold him captive, and he walked out of the tomb. So I hope you have a great 4th of July, and I'm sure I'll see all of you here soon.